Welcome to the Great Sand Dunes National Park, largest sand dunes in North America that they back up. I don't know if you can see them out in the distance. It's a windy day, by the way. It's still a little chilly here, and the spring winds are, I guess, making the sand dunes bigger, or they may not even be there by the time we get there. I don't know. But we're going to go to the visitor center, see how these dunes were formed, maybe play around, hike on a few of them, and see what's there. So join us at the Great Sand Dunes National Park! Located in southern Colorado, the Great Sand Dunes make up the largest dunes in America. The park is 232 square miles, and while they do have some lodging, Debbie and I drove in from Alamosa where we stayed the night. It's only about a 30-mile drive, and it was extremely windy, but that's how the dunes are formed, right? The dunes are surrounded by many mountains that begin to make up the Rockies, including Blanca Peak, which is over 14,000 feet. You can see in the background there as we approach the dunes, and it's one of 4 sacred mountains to the Navajo. I wanted to mention that about halfway, while driving in on Highway 150, we saw a sign for a trail to Zapata Falls. We stopped on our way back out of the park and hiked the trail to the falls, and we would highly recommend it. It was incredible with just a beautiful, easy, less than a mile hike. It was cool and the falls were still partially frozen, making it even more beautiful. We arrived at the visitor center and went inside to get Debbie's passport stamped. The park is open 24 hours, 7 days a week, and this visitor center is open from 9 a.m. to about 4:30 p.m., but I would check their website just to be sure. The entrance fee is about $25, but we have our senior pass and it's paid for itself just many times over. In 1932, Herbert Hoover signed a proclamation making the Great Sand Dunes National Monument, but support in the late 1990s resulted in the monument's expansion into a national park, and on November 22, 2000, Great Sand Dunes National Monument became Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve. The Visitor Center has a lot of information explaining things like how the dunes were formed, and this is by the right combinations of wind and water and sediment. You see, creeks and streams bring in large amounts of sediment and sand into this valley, and then the wind blows the sand towards the bend in the mountains, where opposing storm winds help squeeze the sand into the tall dunes that you see today. So it's really interesting. It just has to be just right to form them. One thing you might want to know if you come here in the summer is that the sands can reach 150 degrees. So it's a good idea to go in the morning or in the late afternoon and wear good shoes, closed-toed shoes, so your feet don't get burned. It was so incredibly windy the day we went that it's almost like sand blasting our ankles and our legs. So there's a lot of wind here, so you might want to prepare for that as well. I doubt it if you can see it in this video, but on the back of the visitor center where you have the overlook of the dunes, you can see from here tiny little people on top of those dunes walking around. It's really incredible to see. It just gives you an idea of the scale and the size of these massive dunes. Also from here, we could see the sands being picked up by the strong winds we have today, and these are just forming more of the dunes. Also around this area, at the visitor center, you can take trails from here that go all the way to the sand dunes if you want to hike from here. But we're going to drive around to where there's parking closer to the dunes where we can hike from there. Well, we're going to walk out here. Again, it looks like we've got to cross a little water. We drove down from the visitor center, and we're going to go see what they're like. The largest dunes in North America. We might recommend that you carry sunscreen and water, of course. It is still an arid region, but the dunes are just beautiful. Don't know about walking off this water. But apparently that's what you do. Make a run for it. Okay.
I mean, I could go get my other shoes.
Oh, here comes a Let's do it, Deb. I'm just going for it here. Here we go. That's not so bad. Got it. Okay, there's one hurdle. Here we go through another. Come on, Debbie. Go. Okay, not much further. I think we got it. My goodness, look at this. You made it. Oh my goodness. Let's see how close we can get. Let me tell you what, this would be every cat's dream. The winds were so strong that you could actually see the dunes forming at an incredible rate. Wow. It's kind of neat to watch the clouds go over the dunes. Can you see? Here comes a cloud. Can you see the shadow? While we didn't see anybody doing it, you can do other activities besides hiking, like sandboarding, much like snowboarding, or just sliding down the sand dunes, or just hiking like we did and playing on them. So there's other things to do and look at and see, but the winds were so strong we just stuck to hiking and walking. The dunes are not without their dangers though. Some of the edges of the dunes are up to 40 feet high and you can easily tumble off, and while I don't think it would hurt you, you might not get back up. Well, we decided to call it a day and head back to the truck, and with this tailwind it didn't take but just a few minutes. I hope you get a chance to stop by one day and get to visit this beautiful national park and these great big massive sand dunes. So until next time, join us at the next national park. This is Bill and Debbie and Goolsby's Adventures.